We come from the other side of the hill.
You talk funny.
Yeah, well, that's the way we talk on our side of the hill.
Excitement on the Speed World menu for tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, we present the starting lineup for your
Take Slapping Podcast, Offseason Edition.
All right. Hey, what's going on, everybody? I just wanted to say thank you for everybody that enjoyed last week's off-season content, doing things a little bit different again this week. So, and honestly, because of the thanks that everybody gave and how everybody enjoyed that, we're going to continue this ball rolling. We got some racing starting next week. Steve Nace is doing some great stuff down there in the Florida, Georgia area. But today what we're going to do is we're going to do a little interview. We're going to interview Darren Carter from Carter Farm Racing, District 17. Just kind of wanted to pick his brain a little bit. He's a dear friend of mine. He mentors my son, and he's just an absolute character. So we're going to have him come on. And with that, we've got everyone's favorite Carter Farm groundkeeper / District 17 assistant to the assistant general manager, Darren Carter. How are you doing, man?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for coming on today. Just kind of turning out some off-season content, and I've wanted to chat with you for a long time. You are an absolute character, but on top of that, you've been around the sport for a very long time. And those of you that don't know, he's doing a lot of great things for the sport at the youth level and at this district level. And I wanted to give you the platform to kind of talk about all that great stuff you're doing. Just to let people get to know you. So, why don't you give a quick background for anybody out there that doesn't know who the hell Darren Carter is, since they can kind of get to know you.
I'm Darren Carter. I'm just a washed up Illinois ex-pro. Used to be okay-ish on a motorcycle. I'm just Cash's dad, Cash and Corbin's dad nowadays. I mean, I'm not quite Shayna's brother, but I'm halfway there. I'm just a kid's dad now. That's all I am.
When did you go pro? When did all that happen for you?
I want to say 2003.
Okay.
I had a pro motorcycle license before I had a driver's license. So
there you go. Nice. So was that when you turned 16?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that makes sense. Because I graduated high school in 04. So that means you're a year, basically a year younger than I am. And did you do the whole series, or were you kind of part timer from the onset, or how did that work?
Yeah, we were part time, mostly. We did most of the Harley Sportster series when that was a thing. Those things sucked. I don't understand why people are like, hooligan bikes, these are great. Those things sucked. I don't know why anybody wants to do those.
I've said it often. They are fun bikes, but they don't like to go in a circle. So you're preaching to the choir on that one.
Yeah, those are scary. I was never so glad when they ended that series to get off those things.
Yeah. So from that point, I'm completely ignorant to it, so I'm learning as he asks these questions. I did see some pictures of you riding a DTX bike. Did you then kind of after the quote unquote early hooligan days start doing the DTX bikes when that all started to come online?
Yeah. So when I came up, we had a 252 stroke DTX bike. We moved to, then would be the 500 Rotax. We had a Woods frame Rotax. And when I got my pro license, they pretty much opened it to framers and DTX bikes. So it was kind of like a mix when the 450s really started shining, the DTX bikes, and they were still figuring them out, but they were pretty solid. I mean, as far as like the TT tracks goes, and Nikki Hayden made them look really good. So it was.
Yeah. So I always like to kind of ask this question to people. Obviously throughout your career, you've ridden mile tracks. How old were you when you first rode a mile?
I was, I want to say 14 when I rode the first mile.
And what was the initial reaction the very first time, you came on track? started getting up to speed, and when you hit that first corner, kind of what was going through your head?
So before I went out on the racetrack, my dad was like, whatever you do, do not back off the gas. He was like, you can roll out of the throttle a little bit, but do not back out of the gas. And I'm like, Dad, you're 14, your cocos are this big. I'm like, I'm not going to back out of the gas. It's going to be wide open. And he's like, all right, man. Yeah, it's a good story. And I went out on the track first. I was the first one in the group out on the racetrack. I go down into turn one, wide open. You still don't have the speed up yet. And I'm back straightaway tucked in. And as I'm coming into three, that wall just, and it was DeCoin, the wall just comes in so fast. And I'm like, oh shit. And I like my wrist immediately goes up and there's like four bikes just, oh God.
Yeah.
And I come off the track. My dad was like, so that whole wide open all the way around thing. And I was like, that was nutty. And
Yeah.
The mile though, once after the first initial, like, oh shit, we're going fast. Um, it actually slows down a lot. There's a lot of time to think and a lot of time to move, and the tracks are super wide. So I mean, you have room to play on. So after the first initial, the wall coming in fast, it was, they're a lot of fun to ride.
Yeah, I can remember the very first time I ever did it was when I was dumb and I did it on that hooligan bike. And I can remember it was, amateur nationals, what was it, 2021. And when you talk about how that wall comes up, it's hard to explain. And I'd say most everybody listening to this and watching this has had that same holy shit moment. It's a common bond between everybody that, and the other thing too, that in the writers meeting, they always talk about like, when you get into the draft and how that kind of sucks you up. And there are no words to adequately describe that to get you ready. It's just one of those things that you have to experience. And it's one of the most terrifying and exhilarating things I've ever done. So, I wanted to get your thoughts on mile racing. And the reason why I wanted to do that is kind of to segue into how you're helping the next group of kids to kind of come up. You're doing a lot of mentoring, you're doing a lot of coaching. And a big thing that a lot of kids don't get, and rightfully so, is mile time. That takes a whole lot. You don't want little kids out there racing on a mile. I know probably back in your day or before your day, they did do that, put little kids on a mile, but a half mile, in my opinion, is big enough. But, you know, with that, kind of talk about segueing into helping the kids. What are you seeing with the current landscape of amateur flat track racing that's kind of spurred that, that motivation in you to kind of help kids and to get them ready to go pro?
Well, I know that looking back on my quote unquote career, like I made a lot of mistakes, and I wasn't prepared uh, for a lot of what pro racing brings. Was I fast? Yeah, I was fast. Could I do 25 laps? Not fast. Um, so the goal is to kind of teach the kids what I missed out on. I mean, and the crazy part is these kids nowadays are fast from the 65s, and I mean even 50 chain kids. They're going. It's outrageous what these kids are doing, and the cool thing is like they're all training some sort. I mean, it may not be full on AFT training, but they're all riding. They're all. I mean, that's one of the reasons we open the house up to a lot of the riders, is so that way they have a place to practice. And like I can teach them some things that it took me, maybe 5 or 6 years to see and figure out. Like I'm teaching them at such a young age, and they're just excelling. It's a lot to try to help the sport, but man, it's fun. It's a lot of fun working with the kids.
So on top of
Like
that, are you also kind of helping them on the off the track side of the house too, kind of mentoring them, kind of talk about what you do with some of the kids in the District 17 area, because we say it on the pod all the time that like almost what you do off the track now in this day and age matters as much as what you do on the track. So kind of what is your role in kind of helping some of the up and comers?
so, like we work with a lot of the younger kids. We have a few older kids. Like I've been working with Declan since he was on a P-Dub, and Declan is a lot of things, but aggressive is not one of them. So with with him, I'm always constantly like, Declan, you can. Declan, you can. You can shove your nose in there. You are a good enough rider. You can work your way through people. And it sometimes it clicks with him, sometimes it doesn't. One of the other ones that we have is McLean Drucker. And I'm going to throw you under the bus, McLean. But when they first came over here, I said, McLean, like, what's your goal? Like, do you want to be a district hero? Do you want to do good at amateur nationals? Like, do you want to go pro? Like, what's your long-term goal? And he's like, well, we're going to do amateur nationals, yada, yada. And, I want to go pro. And I dead faced told him, like, man, you got to lose like 20 pounds, 25 pounds. And he looked at me like I was being the biggest asshole. And it is being an asshole, but it's being honest. Like, these kids that you're racing with, the Tom Drains, and they're small kids. They weigh nothing.
I think that's a great point. Look at Chase Sadoff. He kind of had a little girth to him growing up, but that kid he's stacked right now. And kudos to him for seeing the bigger picture. So I absolutely agree. Got to be fit.
Yeah. And so, I try to be honest with the kids. Sometimes it's brutally honest, but honestly, when you're dealing in the pro stuff, brutally honest is the only way you can be.
Yeah.
Some of the younger kids I play off fear. I know when Oliver was out here, I had said something to him like, I'll body slam you off the bike or something.
Yeah.
And he hadn't been around here long enough to know that I'm 2%. Just jump on the gas. Like, this is how you got to do it. And he did it. And he was like, am I getting body slammed? I'm like, no, man, you did good. But he wasn't for sure yet that he was getting body slammed.
He still talks about that to this day. Talks about, that's how his barometer is. Am I getting body slammed? I'm like, no, bud, you're doing good. No. Yeah, no, but I mean, being brutally honest, I think a lot of the younger kids are starting to see that, you gotta face the music. You gotta fail early to succeed later. And sometimes not surrounding yourself with yes men or people that just want to blow smoke up your ass is going to help you in the long run. So, and what I've seen from like a outsider looking in is you have a way of like being honest with them, but setting a clear, like, what they need to do to eclipse that. And you're also the first one to, give them a high five. I mean, the video that I shared last week, when you can see the clip of when Declan's walking back into the pit after a great showing at the DeCoin Mile, you were the first one to pick that kid up and, throw him around in the air and let him know that, hey, I am on your side, but I'm also going to be completely honest with you. Right.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's one of the fun things, is I don't know. I don't know if I want to say I go full sergeant arms on them sometimes when they're doing something wrong. But if they even do it a little bit right, like I'm the first one, like, yeah, like that's how we do it. And you can see their everything about them just get excited. Like, yeah, I did a little bit right. And
well, I think that goes to also like burnout. Like, if you had your dream job and you were doing exactly what you want, we all almost never have our dream job, but you could do that job for 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, because it's your passion. So the human mind can absorb and take a lot. But when you don't have that reinforcement or you don't see any success, that's when burnout comes. And so whenever the kid does show that little itty bitty of just like doing the right thing, you got to jump on it right there and be like, see, look, see, right? So yeah, absolutely. You got to, knock them down hard, but you got to be the first one to pick them up for sure. Yeah. And so speaking of some of the kids that you've helped, it's obviously, for those of you that don't know, Carter Farm is in central Illinois. It's right by all the wind farms. But what town is it technically in, the township?
We're technically Beeson, Illinois.
But it is like in the middle of nowhere. And so a lot of the kids, that come there. List off some of the names of the kids that have come through there, so people can kind of see the crop that you're working with because they're nipping on the heels, right?
Yeah. So we've been really working a lot with Rhett Larson and Audie Snelson. They've been out here training with Cash on 85s. They're jumping up to bigger bikes. Um, there's so many kids that come through here. I feel like I'm letting them down by not throwing out names here. But we have kids all the way from the 50s all the way up to the big bikes. The Laux boys, they come out here when they can.
Yeah, because they're a couple hours south, so it's kind of a haul for them.
Yeah, their dad he's it's a long drive for my kids to train. But I mean, we do a lot of fun stuff. Braxton Reagan, he comes out quite a bit to ride. One of the ones who's not even from here anymore, he's a Colorado native, Bain. They set up shop here before amateur nationals, and they'll be here for like 2 weeks hanging out riding.
Because it's a TT track as well as a short track with multiple size jumps and stuff. And for those of you, I'm going to be dropping some video clips of the place. Look them up on social media and give them a follow for sure. And I was going to ask, so with how Carter Farm plays into it, you're also the big dog for the District 17 flat track side of the house, right? So when did that come online?
I took over for director last spring. And so last year was our first full year doing it. It's got its struggles, and
Did you learn a lot?
A little bit. I learned a little bit on the backside of it. I've been doing this so long that I knew most of it. But there's a little bit that we learned, just processes and procedures. But Jessica is my fiance.
Better half.
She's the real district director.
Yeah.
She takes on all the heavy lifting, and I just take on the phone calls where people are mad, I do the face stuff, and she does all the hard work. So, it's a team deal. She puts up with a lot here. I'm me, and then I got two small versions of me.
Yeah.
And then we got a couple dogs, and I don't
know. Yeah, the dogs are always the funnest part. When you took over, District 17 and kind of, started to look through things, what were some of the things that you were really like, what's on your board of like a to-do list? Everything, it can't happen overnight, right? But you obviously have, goals and aspirations, motivating factors, because District 17, it has such a historic, view, if you will. Like District 17 is one of the better districts, right? And a lot of fast kids from it. But I would say that it's kind of lately, and maybe this is across the board with all districts, is kind of taken a little dip, if you will. But maybe that's just more reflective on the sport of flat track. But what are you doing to kind of bring it up?
So we're trying to. The way I keep talking with the clubs is, I'm like, we've got to be able to put people on the seat more at the races. We have to do a better job promoting races. Our tracks are phenomenal. We have great dirt. We have Neoga, which is a TT that's oiled, and they're doing a whole half a new TT layout called a Super TT. And then they put in a short track last year that turned out awesome.
Yeah.
We have Pekin. They do the Donnie Bargeman race. That's so sick every year.
Is that the one that Kyle Snyder helps out with? Or is that, because I know Kyle does help him with some, there's one race up in that direction that he helps with.
Kyle jumps around a lot.
He wears a lot of hats for sure.
He is big on helping people out. He will help if you ask Kyle. Kyle will help you. So he's good to have as a District 17. I don't want to say representative, but he's a representative. He does a good job for people.
Yeah.
So yeah, Kyle's good to have around, and like I said, he'll help with anything. He he helps Ayers out a little bit this year, which Ayers puts on a lot of races in Illinois that aren't District 17.
Is there any
But
crossover with that, with it being AMA, or is it not?
they're a little, but not
Okay.
much. I mean, Ayers is putting on racetracks that District 17 doesn't have on the list. He's got a lot of half miles, a lot of limestone. So he's kind of filling in the gaps that District 17 really needs to pick up on. Um, but I mean, it corresponds pretty good. I mean, we have so many races
Yeah.
in this area; it's insane. So it is a good thing. It's a little
One of
hit to District
the
17.
things that I see with what we talked about, you probably heard on the pod, is that there are oftentimes, again, the outside looking in, I'm born and raised Illinois, but I don't live there right now. But I kind of see that there's so many races going on in Illinois. It's almost like there's like, I don't need to go to that one because I've got another one to go on. Do you think it's been kind of, maybe that's been hurting the district, is that there's just so many races going on?
A little bit. So this year we're actually going to do a 5 race series in District 17, like a mini series inside of the series,
Okay.
where each one of the District 17 tracks have one of the rounds. So that'll give people who may not be able to hit all the rounds be able to do this 5, 6 race
Highlight
series.
them. Yeah.
And then you can highlight the races, and then they're going to do a like mini series points champion after that. So it gives people incentive to try at least all 5 of the racetracks. So we have Peoria, Neoga, Pekin, Galesburg, and Macomb. So each of them will have a race on the 5 race schedule. And
Yeah.
then to benefit it over, it's going to be a bonus points race for the District 17 points. So
Nice.
it gives more incentive to try to hit all those races,
Nice, nice.
around.
And what I did notice too, that all the dates, they kind of work in tandem with that one big amateur national series that I won't no, the Corey series and stuff like that. So I wanted to give kudos to all the districts for kind of, for the most part, working together to say, hey, look, we want to feed into that and have that
Mhm.
hierarchy kind of set from the get go. So that is awesome to see. So with that, you went down to Callahan.
Mhm.
So what were your kind of reactions? Kind of you've been going there. Let's hold Corey's feet to the fire. So what did you think of Winter Throwdown this year?
I hate to give him credit, but he did a good job. I mean, he really did. There was so many riders.
Yeah.
They jammed 2 races into one day. He ran a pretty swift schedule. I mean, you can bitch about the track being one lines. I mean, if we need to bitch about something, we can bitch about that. Like I'll
Yeah.
go with that. But
It held up, right? Like 800
it held
entries
up.
times two. Yeah.
The track was good. I mean, there's not a lot I could say bad about. I mean, I had to see Corey here. He's doing this the whole time.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. No. Are you going to Salem?
yeah, yeah, we're
Nice.
gonna do the whole series. Corbin's kind of piggybacking off Cash. Cash is at a level now where he's doing quite well, and so Corbin gets to benefit going to all these races because Cash is doing well. And we're gonna bring Rhett with us. He's gonna continue to play on the 250 and 450 this year, and he's sitting pretty good in the 250 class, and Cash is sitting pretty good in 85 and super mini, and Corbin's just still figuring out the 65, kind of doing his
Yeah.
thing. So
Which, for those of you that don't know, you essentially skipped a large portion of the 50 class to go straight to the 65. And while some people might be like, wait, why? Why is that? We can also say in the same breath that there are a lot of bad habits that get picked up in the 50 class, and especially with flat track, if you stay on that bike for so long. And so I do have to say kudos for you for, bucking the trend and doing something a little bit differently. But I ultimately do think that it's going to be better for him in the long run. So kind of now you got me spurring about that. Kind of talk about that because maybe a lot of people don't know that that's the path you went.
So yeah, Cash went PETA 50 chain 65. And with the 50 chains, they're so high horsepower with such a short wheelbase, and the tires for those things aren't really great. So they if when they come on power, if the kids don't ride them wide open and they come on power, they want to go sideways immediately, and then the kids will back out of the gas, and then you have high sides all over the place. And so we learned a hard lesson with Cash. Like every time he'd start getting confident and comfortable on it, he would spit himself off on his head. And um, Corbin is uh, Corbin's quit racing already one time. He hated motorcycles. So I'm like, instead of putting the headache and burden on him of having to try to go through that, I would rather just spend the time learning learning the clutch and shifting, and we'll figure out how to slide a motorcycle. And the 65 power, you can gear them to be smoother and still have more power. So we we're just, I think it's a smart move to just kind of jump over that for now. I mean,
For the other kids that are
not,
kind of the same age group, kind of tell him how is he responding to that jump from something so small to something so big? Well, has it been a big learning curve or?
so the clutch work is going pretty smooth, and he actually shifts better than Cash, still better than Cash does. Cash will still do the butt shift when he
Oh
shifts.
yeah, I'm living
Corbin
that life.
Corbin's buttery with the shifting. Corbin's real issue is he's all upper half. The kid has no legs. He's Barney Rubble. Like he's just torso and feet. So him sitting on the starting line is his biggest issue because he's half hanging off the bike all the time. But other than that, I mean, he's figuring it out. I feel like I can't wait until the dirt gets dry around here so we
Yeah.
can start practicing starts and stuff, because I think he would have had a lot better showing down in Florida had we had not let people have a quarter of a straightaway before he even got rolling.
Yeah.
Because his pace wasn't terrible. I mean, not for the amount of seat time he's got on it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a learning curve for him, and he'll get it.
Yeah, and we could turn this into a dad podcast real quick, where it's just you're also dealing with such a little human, right? So you could give them all the tips and tricks and stuff, but they're still their brains developing. They're still trying to figure it out. And God, I mean, Oliver forgot how to do a start when we were down in Florida. So it just you could be prepared, and then all of a sudden they forget how to ride a motorcycle, right? So it's we love it, but it's also one of the most maddening things you could ever come across. So I mean, and I'm kind of living that right now with because AMA hates kids. No, I'm just kidding. He's not old enough to ride the 85 for AMA. So back out here where it's outlaw, he can ride the 85, and he's
He
showing
looks
that
good on it.
he's done with it. Thanks. And so now we're just like, all right, just waiting around for he turns 9 later this year. But yeah, you never quite know when a kid is gonna you know jump themselves. And like what you're doing, you just got to let the kids kind of tell you how it goes and take it one day at a time. But with that, I wanted to have you tell. Let's see, I'm gonna put you on the spot here. I want to see if you can tell the funniest Austin story that won't put him in jail. Anything that you've kind of a funny story for those that don't know Austin with Stay Tuned Motorsports. He's got Talon and Skylar, fast kids. It's just an awesome guy. But see if you can tell the funniest story that might explain why we love Austin so much.
So if you don't know Austin Laux, look him up. He is a troll. I mean, am I wrong?
No,
He
you're
looks like a
absolutely
troll.
right. He's absolutely right.
He is. He's actually a fat version of Corbin. He's all upper body and no legs. And I love
Sorry,
Austin, so
Sam. Sorry, Sam.
don't think this is the whole brutally honest thing that it. So we were in Des Moines last year, and we were not driving too fast in a golf cart. All right, and so I told you that he looks like a troll to
Mhm.
tell this story.
Yeah.
He is agile. I don't know if you're aware of this.
I did not know
He
that.
was he went full monkey on the golf cart,
Okay.
and I'm like, going right, Austin, and he would hang off the go-kart or the golf cart, and then I'm like, left, and he would crawl across me and back, and I've never seen anybody move so fluently,
Low key
the way
athletic.
he does. Yeah,
Mm.
if I was ever going to go monkey racing,
Yeah.
I would. Yeah, me and Austin, we're going to take some people down
Kind of
because he
reminds me
can.
of Flat Out Friday when they did that two up, kind of like the sidecar racing or whatever. I guess we'll put Austin off on the side. But, my funny story with Austin is you remember this past year when he was grooving a tire and caught his beard on fire and I had to
Yeah,
shave it. Yeah. And he had to walk around with a face of shame. And I'm surprised Sam stayed with him after he chopped his beard off, but he's back to looking like a man. So I'm glad that that is the case or whatever. But man, I just wanted to say, thanks for taking the time and giving us a chat and letting us peek into not only your life and what Carter Farm is, but also the quote unquote resurgent effort you're doing with District 17 to kind of help some of these young and up and comers. I know my son, he only calls you Coach Carter, and I doubt he's the only one. So with that, man, I just wanted to say thank you for taking the time. And, yeah, it's just thank you so much, man.
I have more fun than the kids do. I don't think they realize it, but working the track is like my woosah time. I can spend hours just driving around in circles, and you got to want that dirt to just be, perfect, and
Yeah.
it never is, but I try every day, and so that's my woosah time, and I just enjoy. The kids have so much fun out here. They're I don't know, it's just so much fun. I enjoy it.
I'll
I
see you
can't
in a
even.
couple weeks. We're going to the Champagne race, man. So we'll get in town, that Friday night before, but then we're staying the week because it's spring break. So yeah, if it's still nice out and
I
whatnot,
hope so.
we'll have to come over and burn some dirt circles, man. But yeah,
Look
so
forward to it.
awesome, man. All right, well, thank you very much, and we'll chat soon. All right,
Thank you, guys.
yeah, bye bye. Yeah, so great talk again with Darren to kind of expose you guys what he's doing with Carter Farm and what he's doing with District 17 and a lot of the great riders that are coming up in that district as well. So, like I preach all the time, there is so much speed in amateur racing, and with the work that the CTR series is doing, the work that the districts are doing, and also with some of the other promoters out there as well. They're all coming together to give these kids the platform to succeed. So it's always great to talk amateur racing. Love that grassroots effort. So again, thank you very much for tuning in last week and then this week, and we're almost there. We are almost there for Daytona. So hang in, hang tight, and we'll be back at you soon. Until next time, we out.
Excitement.